And it's conceivable those improving trade relations could have an impact on the ports. Some shipping analysts expecting retailers to take advantage of the lower tariffs on Chinese imports during this 90-day pause and use that time to rapidly import some goods. Joining us now on set is the Port of Los Angeles Executive Director, Gene Seroka. Good to see you in person.
Great to see you, David.
And nice to have you, obviously, right here. Gene, what are your expectations for a surge? And obviously, we want to also know what you're seeing right now in real time as well at the ports.
Yeah, David, last week we saw a drop of about more than 30% of the cargo that we were expecting coming in. For the month of May, we'll be down about 25%. No real indication yet about how big a surge may be, but this 90-day pause is not a lot of runway in our business, and the average of averages is still a 30% tariff.
Right, and I want to talk about that. Just put the down 25 or whatever the number may be for May in perspective. I know COVID, for example, we can all think about 5 years ago, but how does that rank in terms of a decline of that magnitude?
Second place. During COVID, March of 2020, we were down 50% at the Port of Los Angeles, and now we're looking 25% for this month of May. 17 of 80 scheduled ships were canceled for this month.
All right, so now we're dealing with 30%, at least for the next 90 days. It may go lower than that, but there's also a possibility it will either stay or go higher. What are your expectations in terms of increased imports?
Yeah, what I see right now, David, is that for about 4 consecutive weeks, we'll be pretty light on inbound cargo. Outbound as well. The ag sector hit specifically and really hard. Those 10% tariffs are cumulative based on other increases before. After that, we're going to start to see maybe some ship services reintroduced. For the month of June right now, there are still 11 of 80 services that have been canceled.
So on the empty shelves narrative, I know this is a few steps removed from the ports, but is there danger of that still, given the interruption in April?
Yeah, depending on how retailers and others buy, you may see spot shortages. We're right now at a tipping point because you got summer fashion, back to school, and May, Carl, is usually when the majority of the purchase orders go in for Christmas and the year-end holidays. So we're cutting it close in a lot of areas here.
Right. How long would you expect orders to get resumed until the 90-day deadline started to get filtered in back into people's minds?
Yeah, we're watching that right now.
Yeah.
Having worked in Asia for a long time, I still maintain a lot of contacts on the phone every evening trying to see how bookings or reservations are picking up, what services may be reintroduced. There's some pent-up demand, obviously. There's some products that were finished before this 145 went into place. So let's see how quickly we could load those up or get those containers to the ports and onto ships coming our way. No immediate jolt to the system just yet, but the next couple days should tell a story.
Meantime, rates are a straight shot up?
They may go up, but please remember that in the Trans-Pacific trade, about 90 to 95% of all that business is contracted annually. The spot rate is on a small amount of cargo, but is one of the indicators that we watch.
What percentage of the cargo that you're taking in does come from China, or I don't know if that's possible, and or the other countries, obviously, because we're still talking about South Korea and Japan and Vietnam and so many others of our trading partners that also have tariffs right now.
Right, David, 45% of our business portfolio is with China, both on the import and export side. That was 60% back in 2018, before the first 232 and 301 tariffs went in. So we've absolutely seen a migration of sourcing to Southeast Asian nations, but China still maintains a wide margin in that number one pole position versus the second player, Japan.
Do you think the longshoremen were an instrumental voice in sort of incentivizing this reversal?
I do. And our International Longshore and Warehouse Union put out a message a couple of weeks ago, which was groundbreaking for them. To be that strong on the subject of tariffs, let's get some attention. I also credit the media for amplifying our voice and saying, look, again, policy is policy. We're not talking politics here. But what we see on the ground, if you're going to drop by 30%, that impacts the dock workers, the truckers, the warehouse folks. It's the small to middle-sized importers that I'm most concerned with now. If they have to purchase at elevated prices, they can't necessarily pass that cost on to the consumers. They're competing with the big guys. So your neighborhood drugstore, pharmacy, home improvement store, they're the ones that we're watching right now. 125,000 companies call LA home on the import side of the business.
Is there a level of tariffs wherever it settles out that you feel is absorbable by that sector?
Good question, Mike. And what I hear from importers right now is they're going to negotiate a little bit with their manufacturers, see what they could do based on terms of sale, landed price. They'll try to find efficiencies in their own companies, a little bit of a margin squeeze, but let's do things a little bit better inside, and then let's see what we can pass on either to the consumer or if you're a parts supplier to the factory.
Are the other West Coast ports having a similarly bad May?
Yeah, all across the board. Some hit more hard than others. Last week, David, we had 16 ships come in. 11 had port calls in China, but another 4 specifically dedicated to China were canceled. We'll have a similar look again this week. So we're still moving cargo, just not at the levels that we should be this time of year.
Is it true that there were some diversions from Seattle to Vancouver, in other words? Goods that were...
Haven't seen that, really. That's been a debate for some time because you get the harbor maintenance tax in the U.S. It's a difference of about $300 a container if you bring cargo into Vancouver or Prince Rupert. So that may have a little different take when it comes to the terms of sale and the overall landing cost.
Gene, good to have you here, and, of course, look forward to further updates as well, given the importance of the topic. Thank you.
Great seeing you guys.